Sports Gang! Welcome back to another episode of Yay Sports. I'm Allie.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Rachel.
Today we have a very special episode because we have our very first guest.
I'm so excited!
We're so excited.
It's a professional kite surfer. Her name's Susi and she's joining us on Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's such a pleasure to be with you ladies.
So you're a professional kite surfer. I'm very new to this sport.
As we all are.
Yes.
We don't know a ton about it, so we'll love if you could share what it is, how you got into it, and yeah, any and everything honestly would be helpful for us. We're so intrigued.
Yeah, so my name's Susie, and yes, I'm a professional kite surfer, and kite surfing is, I guess, a relatively new sport. It started in the early 2000s, and it consists of, so it's only been 20 years since it's been around, and it consists of getting pulled along the water with a board by flying a kite.
So you said it started 20 years ago, right? I'm curious as to who was like, you know what? Surfing as is boring. Let's add a kite. Did somebody initiate the sport or create the sport? How did it come to be?
Somewhere in 98, there were three places that kind of started this whole trend. Hawaii, Maui, which is where I'm at right now, which is a huge windsurfing destination and super windy, of course. Then there's Hood River, Oregon, where there was a guy out there doing a kite ski. He had this weird kite and was getting pulled around on his water skis, if you can believe it. And then the third location was actually in France, with another windsurfing person. And it's one of those things, humans are awesome. They're just this looks crazy, let's try this. And,
so were you super into sports before this, or were you, so you just started?
I was not. I was born in Germany, and my parents were windsurfers and, a little bit sort of German hippie type of people. And they decided to leave Germany when I was 5 years old and move to the Dominican Republic, which is where I was raised. And so we moved to this perfect beach for windsurfing, which is kind of, naturally where my dad tried to get me into windsurfing. But if you've seen windsurfing, it's kind of heavy. You really have to pull the sail out of the water.
Oh, really?
I tried it in Mexico one time and I couldn't lift. I'm so weak, so.
That's the thing. It's not really for girls unless you're already super, upper body, super trained up and you have a lot of strength.
For girls. See,
this one's made for girls, totally. But my dad being such a windsurfer, he was always trying to get me to windsurf, and I was just nah. And, kind of going through high school, being a teenager, I was playing a lot of video games. Which I do think helped a lot for the kiting, because when I saw kiting for the first time, and it was actually the French guy who came to the Dominican, he had a totally white kite that just said PlayStation on it. And I was wait, this is a real life video game? This is amazing. So that's really what got me to sort of pay attention to it.
Cheers to kite surfing, Susie.
Cheers!
I'm excited to watch some stuff right now.
Is that
Wait to take off.
That's crazy.
And is that ab string that you're using here?
Honestly, I'm hanging on the harness. It's not even that much. I mean, it is a good core workout. It's pretty much an all body workout, but you're not necessarily, you can kind of see the harness there more clearly. I'm just cruising with one hand, just kind of hanging back. There's no need to be, super stressed and strenuous. It's not that strenuous the whole time.
You say that, but I don't know if
yeah. Do you use a lot of GoPros or film?
GoPros, all kinds of stuff. I've tried them all, honestly. Anything that records and is waterproof.
So is this you recording it right now?
Yeah, you just put them in. You can put them in your kite. You can hold it in your hand. But I like this one because it kind of feels like you're riding along, so you can kind of see it. It's you're riding your board. You're holding your control bar. That's how you steer it. What's in your hand is called a control bar.
This makes me want to get in the water right now.
Yeah.
I want to come visit you in Hawaii. You can teach me.
Definitely.
I'll start.
You guys welcome anytime. Also the Dominican, which is where this was taken.
Oh, this is in Dominican. Okay.
The water looks beautiful.
So it's very friendly there.
So when you're competing, how do you get points?
So there are a couple of different disciplines. What I was always competing in was called freestyle and big air. So it was all about jumping. Like here, you're gonna see a jump now. So you can kind of see I've taken off and the water is a little kind of like right below me. So it's about doing tricks in the air. So the competition formats are usually a 7 to 10 minute heat for people on the water, and whoever's the best and does the coolest tricks in the air is the one that advances to the next round. And they consider things like your altitude, your style, your landing, you know, are you crashing, are you riding away from it? But the kite helps a lot, you know, having that kite above you, it just helps you, you know,
so
jump really high and then land.
Do you do like flips in the air or yeah, wow.
You can do back rolls, front rolls. I don't know if I queued up a video, but there are also board off tricks, which are really fun. So like people jump up in the air and then they take their board off, they spin it around a couple times.
They have all that time in the air?
Yeah, you do get a good amount of air time.
Oh my God. Well, there was that one air shot of you and you saw like the huge, gigantic kind of wave. So you still try to aim to like land on that wave? Because that seems...
We land behind them. We try to use the wave almost like a little ramp that we come off of. So the more, it's almost like a little kicker. And if you can get off a little wave, then you can get a little bit more time in the air, so to speak.
So you gotta time it right. You gotta time where you land right. You gotta time your flips in the air right. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
This next video is actually also really cool. It's this race that they do across this Brazilian desert, believe it or not. There's a giant desert in Brazil that has a rainy season, and after 3 months of rain, this place fills up with water, and then suddenly you have all these dunes and then lagoons in between. And Red Bull runs a contest every other year where they basically make us, they start in the ocean, which is where we're riding right now, and it's an endurance race, kind of like a rally. It's called the Rally of the Wind, and they give you like a survival kit with a flare, and they give you a GPS, and first you have to do like 24 miles on the water, and then you'd go in and you do like another 24 miles in the sand. But it's really crazy. It's like a total of like 50, I think. It's huge. It's a massive, really, really long race.
How long does that take you?
That took me like a good 4.5 to sometimes 6 hours. I've done the race 3 times. And you're just like, you're covered in stuff. You're like,
what?
It's wild. You're like,
that's so impressive.
But it's just the most beautiful scenery. And this is a national park in the north of Brazil where you normally look at this place. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the key is to pick your line and not get stuck in the sand, because the sand is much slower. So like the key is to try and figure out how to like get the most water time and still make it to the end of where your GPS is pointing.
Oh, so you have a GPS on you while you're doing this?
They give you a little thing and it just points to where the next checkpoint is.
Oh,
so you just have to figure it out. It's just like a rally. It's like they don't set a course. They just tell you, this is your destination. And if you can figure out a better route, you're going to get much better time.
And has anybody ever gotten stranded on this?
So many people. This is me
like
right here coming in. No, so many people will go the wrong way. And then, of course, we have a safety helicopter.
Wow. So when you're doing this fabulous sport, like, what keeps you going? You've been doing it for a long time now. It's obviously a passion of yours. Like, what is it about it? Describe to me the feeling. What keeps you going? Is it when you're in the water, for example, you feel the rush, you're able to clear your mind? Like, what's the feeling Susie gets when she's kite surfing?
The first time I was able to just ride out away from the beach, just rode literally, because it's easier to go one way than the other. We always have a good side.
Right.
So I rode out all the way to the outer reef, and I was like 2 miles offshore. Like, it's pretty far, before I realized I was like, ooh, I should turn around and like get back to the beach. And I remember just sitting down in the water and just thinking to myself, like, wow, I feel so free and independent right now. Like, I feel like I made this happen. Like, I've put all this time in, I've put all this effort in, and now I'm looking back at the beach and I just see this little strip of white sand and all these little green palm trees, and I'm just like, wow, all my problems are on the beach. I'm out here by myself. So I just felt very free and very liberated in a funny way, and that's persistent until today. I mean, it's really great to just get out on the water. It requires multitasking too. Another reason why we are very good at it. And you know, you can kind of really not think about other stuff. You can't take your phone out there. You can't get distracted. If things start creeping into your head, you're having to deal with the surface of the water, the wind, you're flying your kite, you're controlling your legs and your board, and you're just not able to get overwhelmed with other things. And it really is like a sort of meditation. Everybody that does it. So it is.
That makes me want to try it.
I know.
That makes me want to try it.
It's more relaxing at the end of the day for your being than it, and you have the added benefit of getting a great core workout.
Outside of kite surfing, we heard you have another, I guess, like passion project, I would say, called Ultramarine. Can you tell us more about that and how you got into this project?
Yeah, so as I was kind of, you know, doodling around the world on my professional kiteboarding days, and I was on the professional tour for 11 years, but in total, it's, you know, I spent 16 years really just doing the kiting thing, doing the trips and the editorials and taking photographers to really remote islands and getting shots for my sponsors. I started to very quickly see that there was a problem with our ocean being polluted. And it was really at the beginning very much just like a nuisance. I was like, ew, why is there plastic on this beach? You know, or why am I in Fiji on an island that doesn't even have plastic on the island, but there's plastic washing up on the shore? Together with a very close friend of mine, his name's Jeremy McCain, we founded something called Ultramarine. And it's basically a community of doers. We call it the Ocean Action Summit because we're very tired of people talking about solutions and not really implementing them. And so we've decided to gather a bunch of friends and go to Sir Richard Branson's private island, Necker Island in the British Virgin Islands, which is a magical experience. So we bring people together and we try to implement change and try to come up with actionable items that we can do immediately. Our big focus at the moment is a UN mandate called 30 by 30, which is essentially protecting 30% of the world's ocean by 2030. So we're currently in what we call the ocean decade. And if we, you know, even though we've done a lot of damage, if we stick to our plan and we stick to our goals, we can turn this around and we can let the ocean heal itself and we can let it regenerate. So as, you know, someone in it, it feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's become a whole new world of fulfilling things. And, you know, you get to hang out with dolphins and whales and you get to go in submarines. And so it's just another iteration of my love for the ocean. But yeah, I feel like if you love something and you see it's in trouble, you can't just sit back. You kind of have to jump in.
I also love the whole kind of like perspective of if I'm in the water, if I'm kite surfing, if I'm surfing, if I'm boogie boarding, if I'm interacting in the water, in some way, I want to be able to take care of it. Totally. It's like I'm in you guys' like home.
That's
you know? And so because I'm in your home, I'm in your space, you know, I want to make sure I'm taking care of the space. It's like if you go to anybody else's house, you know, it's like I want to make sure I take care of it.
Ultramarine was born 3 years ago and we're going strong. We have 500 people in the community currently and like our core, and we just love it. So,
well, now you have 503. We're so down for this cause.
So thanks again for watching this episode of Yay Sports with our special and first guest, Susi. I personally feel so like blessed to have this opportunity to learn. So let the viewers know like how they can kind of like get in touch with you, with anything that you're doing with Ultramarine. Let us know.
Yeah, so basically the easiest way to stay in touch is Facebook or Instagram. The Ultramarine handle is at ultramarineocean. And our website is also www.ultramarineocean.com. And then my personal Instagram is at SusiKite, SUSIKITE. That one's really easy.
And everything is going to be linked down below. So if you guys didn't catch that, just check the links below and make sure to follow. Make sure you see how you can get involved. Yes. I think it's super important because we're all tied to the beach.
Take your own initiative to help your own kind of ocean, beach, water surrounding. It could be extremely helpful.